Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies, a podcast where we discuss all things related to the Happier and Happier in Hollywood podcasts.
We're sisters
And superfans.
who can't get enough happier.
So we created our own podcast to keep the conversation going.
I'm Malika Amandi, a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a new mom, and an entrepreneur. I'm here with my sister, Azizi Williams.
That's me. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a not-so-new mom, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world. This week, we'll discuss our takeaways from the latest episodes of Happier and Happier in Hollywood. I'm up first with a recap of Happier. So this week on Happier, episode 449, Liz and Gretchen covered the value of making a mindful investment in yourself, listening to a podcast to fall asleep faster, strategies to deal with a messy adult child, and the strategy of experiencing nostalgia through eating a favorite childhood food. And on More Happier, they did a deep dive into podcasts for National Podcast Day and discussed the variety of ways podcasts can make a difference in our lives and make our lives happier. Malika, how have podcasts made a difference in your life?
Podcasts are probably one of the number one ways that I consume media and learn things. I think this instance of us creating a podcast, this is kind of meta, but this has brought us closer. We're making a podcast about two other podcasts, but it's a chance for us to work on a project and collaborate. And so that's really special, just to have this reason to stay connected and have these weekly calls. I think a podcast that I have been enjoying lately has been one called Normal Gossip, which is real gossip from people, but they change all the names. And they're like in different subcultures or communities and, academia. There have been several episodes set
Wow.
there, somebody's homeowners association, but it's always a story from a friend of a friend. And they're benign. They're not like catastrophic. They intentionally pick stories that are going to be somewhat lighthearted, even if they're emotionally, the stakes are high. That's a part of what makes it good gossip. But
No one's life is in danger.
it's really fun to listen, and they have different celebrities commenting on the stories, and it's very entertaining.
It's still juicy, even though you don't know the people involved.
Yes, it's so juicy, and you can get really invested in these stories. It's very funny. I highly recommend it.
Well, the first podcast I remember us bonding over was Dinner Party Download. Do you remember that podcast?
Yes, I loved Dinner Party with Rico and Brendan Francis Newnham. Where are they now? Rico Galliano.
Right? Where are they now? I mean, this was like at the beginning of podcasts. That was such a good show. So I was remembering that one. But recently, I really appreciated the value of a daily podcast, or at least a Monday through Friday podcast. And I have paired particular, specific podcasts with my commute. And on my commute home, which is about, 45 minutes or so, I listen to T-Boy. And Malika knows this podcast because I turned her on to it. And T-Boy stands for The Best One Yet. It's a daily podcast where two friends from college recap 3 stories from the news in the business world. And the way they recap the stories is by making them very relatable and sort of telling the story. They're so upbeat. They're so energetic. They're having such a great time. And they have created a culture around the podcast with special language and inside references. And it's just a lot of fun. And, it's coming every day. So every time when I'm on my way home, I listen to T-Boy and just smile and laugh the whole way home.
I have to say, I was skeptical about T-Boy, and the first time you played it for me, I was just like, this is gross. I don't want to listen to it. Their energy, it's too much. You kind of were like, just keep listening for a few more minutes. By the end of the episode, I was so into it. And now I listen to it every single day. And one thing I love about that podcast is that they do shout outs at the end of each episode. So you can fill out a Google form and ask them to do a shout out for anybody for any reason. and they will read it at the end of their podcast. So I congratulated my niece on passing her learner's permit test, and they did a shout out for her. Azizi did a shout out for my son Indigo for his first day of preschool. And it's really exciting to hear your news being celebrated in such a public way.
Oh my goodness, that shout out is a happiness boost.
Yes.
It's such a small gesture, and when you hear it on the podcast, it feels very special. So, absolutely, I would encourage everyone to try T-Boy, but stick beyond the first episode. You have to listen to two to really know if you like it. And yeah, I would say that podcasts have definitely made a positive impact, and I'm grateful that they exist, that this format has come about. So, Malika, do you want to recap Happier in Hollywood?
This week's Happier in Hollywood, episode 333, Liz and Sarah enthusiastically celebrated the end of the writer's strike. Sarah shared about her gratitude day, and then they discussed how they get ideas for segments from listeners, including Suggestions Sunday, which appeared on their Facebook page. I just want to say I'm so happy the writer's strike is over. Also, it's quite emotional just hearing the news, and inspiring, and
Yeah.
all of the goosebumps. And also for the two of us being LA natives, and you still live in the LA area, we're just so entrenched in the entertainment industry. And, our dad is in the industry. I was in the industry. It's just such a part of who we are. So even though we're not in the Writers Guild, it was a part of our lives as well. Yours more so, still living there.
Yeah, and I'm not in the industry, but I feel like most industries in Los Angeles are directly connected to the entertainment industry. So the strike was impactful at my school, and for the parents who have their kids at my school. And so just as invested, or maybe not just as invested as Liz and Sarah, but very invested in the outcome of the strike, and so excited for the writers that it sounds like they had a lot of things, they got a lot of what they needed in the strike. So that's positive.
So speaking of Suggestions Sunday, do you have a suggestion?
Oh, well, yes, I do, Malika. And my suggestion is thanks to my colleague and friend, Monique Marshall, who at a board retreat that we were both at, shared this book with me. It's called How to Break Up with Your Phone. And when she read the title, I out loud said, I don't need to break up with my phone. And then I don't want to break up with my phone. But then she read a little bit of the first chapter of the book, and I'm going to read just a little bit of it to you. It starts off with an open letter to my phone. It starts off by the authors discussing the moment when they got the phone. And then it says, then I held you in my hand and things started moving fast. It wasn't long before we were doing everything together, taking walks, having lunch with friends, going on vacations. At first, it seemed strange that you wanted to come with me to the bathroom. But today, it's another formally private moment for us to share. And oh my goodness, by the end of this open letter, I was sold and realized that, I could maybe reevaluate the relationship I have with my phone. It is an actual relationship that maybe is not serving me all the time the way I'd like it to. So it's a fun read. It's not very long. I would highly recommend it. Malika, what about you?
It's funny that you bring that up because my suggestion is inspired by another podcaster, Sarah Hart Unger. She's the host of Best Laid Plans and the co-host of Best of Both Worlds. And she talks about that book and breaking up with your phone. That's one of her themes. Is she's left social media. It's been this whole journey. And anyway, that's how I heard about that book first. Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready-to-go online cart.
Oh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family-friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So on her podcast, Best Laid Plans, she gives advice and content around planning, like setting up your calendar. It's all about paper planners and getting really into the weeds about how to plan. And one of her kind of principles is that you need one source of truth in your life, which she refers to as like your master calendar. So whether it's paper or Google, you've got to have one place where you put everything in. So you can't have like floating papers that have doctor's appointments or floating, your kids' ballet schedule.
With all my little Post-it notes I have everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's all got to go into your one source of truth. And then you can pull from that for different things, but there's just too much to contain otherwise. So I'm implementing that, and it's been really good. And I also feel like it applies to a to-do list. So instead of having 50 different to-do lists for different goals or themes, having, I'm calling it the catch-all. I have one master to-do list that is online, but there's a shortcut on my phone so I can add things to it quickly. And if I text a reminder to myself, I'm trying to look at those reminders every day or every week to add them to the catch-all. And it's making me feel very organized just to know, okay, anything I have to do is on this list. Yes, it's a long list, but I can filter it or kind of manipulate it to see different things. I feel relief, like I'm not forgetting things or things aren't falling through the cracks.
Well, it makes me feel good just to know that you are feeling good about your organization. I am getting a happiness boost from your organized life and this master list. It is very compelling. I think I do probably have as many lists as I have to do items on those lists. So there's something there. I get it.
All right. So our next segment is Speaking of Work, where we discuss observations about our work lives. So I have a new job, and this is an opportunity for a clean slate. Gretchen talks about this in Better Than Before and in her kind of resources around habit change, that having just a brand new routine is a really good way to do something different. And it doesn't even have to be connected to what the new thing is. It's just an opportunity for your system to reset. So for myself, there has been a lot of changes. We have a totally new routine. And I think the clean slate that I'm feeling the most, that I'm leaning into, it is connected to work because I'm entering into a new environment where I don't have a ton of responsibility yet, and I don't have entrenched ways of doing things. It's a new job for me. It's a new role. So I'm trying to be very intentional about setting up my systems now, knowing as I learn more about the job that they're going to change. I'm going to have more information, but my hope is that I can just iterate and not have to kind of get to that place, which I have been in many jobs before, where all of a sudden you're buried in things and you wish you had set up something at the beginning, or you decide, okay, I am going to set up this system, and it takes so much time and effort to overhaul kind of the bad habits that have already been established. So I'm in an advising role, and though I haven't done it in this capacity, I have done one-on-one coaching before. So I've had clients and notes. And so I'm using my knowledge from that, of things that worked in that realm, to kind of set up my systems. But it feels so good to do that now before the workload has increased. So that feels like you only get one chance to set your foundation in the beginning. So that's what I'm leaning into with this clean slate.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And, what you just shared about your master to-do list seems like an example of you setting up systems to help you, be more productive and not get overwhelmed once the workload starts heating up. So a gold star to you, Malika, for using this opportunity to set up some systems for you that are supporting you at work. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. Check in with me in a couple months.
Could it be even better in a couple of months? I will check in. I'm confident it will be even better. But it's true. So I'm at year 3, in my role, which I don't think I can say it's new anymore. I think officially it's not new. But the systems have been, the systems that I started with, some of them served me and some of them, it turned out, did not. Once I started to really understand what the scope of the work was and what I needed. Now I have systems established and I'm really rolling. One, for example, is the Good Note and using an iPad to take my notes and create files, and that system has really improved my workflow. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to refine it and iterate, as you said, and get it right, but that does definitely make a difference. So now I'm going to talk about Shortcut to Happy, where we share a simple strategy that will make you happier. And today's strategy, what I would like to share with you is use the massage chair. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them before. They're usually black and leather, and they're at the mall. They're in other large areas where people gather, and I happened to come upon some massage chairs on my recent trip to Hawaii with my family. We were at the airport in Oahu. We had, a couple hours. You get to the airport early and you want to be sure you're going to make it there on time. And then you're kind of just sitting around, kind of waiting for time to pass. And there were 2 massage chairs. And I thought, should I? I was curious. I'd been curious before passing by in the mall and just never had really taken the leap. I thought maybe I'm going to look goofy or I don't know, people are going to stare at me, but I decided to go for it. I convinced my older daughter, who's not very hard to convince, to try new things. So I'm lucky that way. She came with me and we paid, I don't know, $5 for like 10 minutes of the massage chair. And oh my gosh, it was so amazing. My eyes were closed. That airport stress, it's stressful getting to the airport and you're carrying things and, it was kind of the end of the vacation. So I was having those feelings, but sitting in the massage chair for 10 minutes just kind of made things a little bit better. And I didn't really care who was watching at that point when I was in it. And when it was almost over, afterwards, I realized, you know what? If I have a few minutes, I'm going to use the massage chair. So I'm encouraging all of you to use that a little happiness boost product that I'm sure you've encountered at some point in your life and you'll encounter again. Have you used a massage chair, Malika?
I don't think so. I've only used them at the nail salon when you're already in it for the pedicure, but it's funny because there's something about it. It feels like it's too public. Like, I don't know if I want to relax while these people are walking by like that. I don't know. It feels like something you should do in private somehow.
I mean, your clothes are on. True. It's quiet. It doesn't make a lot of noise, actually. And you just kind of close your eyes and then you don't see anybody. So, just don't make noises, that would be inappropriate, but otherwise it's a delightful experience and it just looks like you're sitting in a chair. So,
Okay.
you should give it a shot, Malika, the next time you see a massage chair.
I'll give it a shot. And now it's time for peaks and valleys, because in life there are always peaks and valleys. This is an odd episode, so I will start us off with a peak. This week, my peak was a surprise visit from my niece, Ilea, who is in college about an hour away. And it was just a fun surprise. She decided to come for the weekend, and it just feels like a fun slumber party to have a friend, my niece here, and just to get to connect with her. And we went thrift store shopping and to our favorite cafes, and she helped with the baby, which is always a plus. So it's really nice to have family over. I'm living in Western Massachusetts. My husband's family is in the area, but my immediate family is all on the West Coast. So we don't get to see Ilea that often because has a life and is almost 20 years old. But when we do, it's nice to have that connection of family in the house. It's very special.
Right. I'm so jealous, Malika, that you got to see Ilea, who is my daughter and who I miss terribly. I haven't seen her since, the beginning of August. And it was nice to get text messages. You guys went to my favorite candle place, Yankee Candle out there, and just got to have fun family time together. So I miss Ilea dearly, but I'm so glad that she has you and I to hang out with. And I look forward to seeing her again at Thanksgiving time. So thank you for hosting her.
And what's your valley for the week?
So my valley is not going to bed on time. And in the spirit of Liz and Gretchen and Sarah, you name this thing that is challenging so that you can be reminded to kind of work on it. I know that I need to go to bed by, 10 p.m. so that I can wake up refreshed and do all the things I want to do. And yet my body does not want to go to bed. My body wants to stay up till about 1 a.m. and just party and online shop and watch TV and try to do all the selfish me things that I didn't get to do during the day. And I know in my brain that this is not going to end well and that I will regret it. I'm stealing fun from the next day when I stay up late, but it's hard to wind down. I have a difficult time winding down. So Malika, what I did was I got on the Happier app and I started a don't break the chain reminder to be in bed by 10. So I'll report back how that goes. I need all the help I can get. So I'm grateful for that tool that Gretchen created for just this kind of situation.
Well, kudos for using those resources to help you with an aim.
Yes, we'll see how it goes. It's also easy to ignore, but I'm not going to because I don't want to break the chain. I can visualize this chain. I want it to be very long. So I'm hoping that helps me.
How many days is the chain now?
Well, I just started it today.
Okay. One strong.
Well, not yet. First, I have to go to bed at 10, and then it will be one strong. So my goal is to get that one link today, and then I'll report back later how it's going.
You got this. All right. That brings us to the end of this episode. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
Well, I'm going to try the podcast, Normal Gossip, you said?
Yes.
I'm intrigued. You sold me. I'm going to give that a shot. And what about you, Malika?
I am going to, I want to say the massage chair, but I just don't know.
It's going to be okay.
I don't know that I'll see one in my day-to-day life.
That's true.
What else do I want to try?
Well, you could try to break up with your phone.
Okay, I'll try looking into that book. I can check it out on Libby, the audiobook. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you like us, rate and review and tell a friend.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com and tell us something you liked about Happier and Happier in Hollywood this week.
Our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie, and we want to thank Norm Amandi for helping us produce this episode.
We also want to give a special shout out to Gretchen Rubin, Liz Kraft, and Sarah Fain for inspiring our conversation each week.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com.
We'll see you next time.
podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.